Yo folks, CR here. I just got through watching a video from Jinks to Jen. Putting the link in the description box, guys. You should really go watch this. He handles this topic very well. I guess California passed this law, SB 239, which takes it from a felony to a misdemeanor to knowingly, keyword knowingly, infect somebody with HIV. And just when you thought California couldn't get any crazier. Yeah, that's why a lot of the nation thinks you're insane. But I am going to put some of the clip from the closing arguments from State Senator Scott D. Wiener, and I'm going to be responding to Mr. Scott D. Wiener on this. All right, so take it away.
I have spent my entire adult life fighting against HIV and trying to reduce HIV infections.
Really? Because it doesn't look like you're trying to reduce HIV infections with this bill.
As an activist in the community, as a member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, as a gay man, who came out of the closet almost 30 years ago. That has been my life's work to reduce HIV infections. You reduce HIV infections, which reduces costs, among other things. You reduce HIV infections by trying to bring people out into the sunlight.
That would include not decriminalizing the people who would infect those who are HIV negative.
And not stigmatizing people living with HIV, by trying to connect people with testing, and then if they're positive, with care, and then giving people who are HIV negative access to all prevention tools, including PrEP.
Army doctrine states that seaborne contaminated patients, basically chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear contaminated patients, need to be quarantined, and there needs to be armed guards on them in MOP 4. No, those armed guards aren't there just specifically to protect them. You can imagine what they're there for. The reason why they do this is not to stigmatize them, it's to prevent contamination of everybody else, the other patients. And I understand that you shouldn't stigmatize people with HIV and that you shouldn't be judging them. But on the same note, we do need to try to do what we can to prevent the spread of that nasty virus.
That's how you reduce HIV infection. That's how we've done it in San Francisco and in other counties that have collapsed.
You didn't decriminalize knowingly infecting people with HIV in San Francisco.
HIV infections. You don't reduce HIV infections by threatening people with felony prosecutions for being HIV positive and having sex.
You are a piece of work, aren't you? Somebody with HIV should not be going around spreading it to people without HIV. That's how you increase the spread of the virus. Now, if I was to walk into your state with this rifle, I would be put in jail on felony charges. Let's roll it back to my state where I'm legally allowed to have this. You're not allowed to discharge this within city limits in Texas. Discharging a firearm within city limits is a punishable offense, and it should be. And if we had a politician here saying, well, we really need to destigmatize gun owners by decriminalizing or reducing the penalties for discharging a firearm within city limits, I would be thoroughly opposed to that bill. Because you know what? It's not destigmatizing firearm owners to do that. In fact, it's going to have a negative effect. Most firearm owners are smart enough to know not to walk out into the streets with their firearms and just start ripping off rounds. Anybody who would do that, they should be in jail because they're putting other people's lives and property in danger. But apparently you don't seem to understand that basic concept.
That is not how you do it. That's how you push people into the shadows, make sure that they don't get tested, and that's how you increase infection. We know.
Wow, dude, that is pretty damn self-centered. You're going to complain about not being able to go out and have sex with all the people you want to because you have HIV? You think that is more important than stopping the spread of this virus?
That in communities where HIV is highly stigmatized, where whether it's the church or families that are stigmatizing HIV, those are communities.
You know, you can go ahead and try to frame this however you like, be it the homophobic father who's ashamed of his gay son with HIV, or the Westboro Baptist motherfucker types. The fact of the matter is the opposition to this bill are coming from people who don't want to see their friends, their family members, even themselves, contracting HIV. These are the same type of people who find it contemptible for you to knowingly have HIV and then go spread it to somebody who doesn't have HIV. So, dude, you're way fucking off base on that.
Communities where HIV infections are going up. We need to move away from criminalizing HIV and towards a public health approach, and that's what SB 239 does.
A public health approach does not involve, or should not involve, risking the spread of the virus simply because you want to have sex. You sick fuck.